I'm shutting off the air conditioner so you can hear me. I am a disabled vet. I was basically in from 1984, July, or from 1980 to 1984. I left in 1984 in July, sick with an unknown blood illness. After I was hit with a car while on duty, I was off base going home. And I went through all medical rehab, had my knee looked at, had my ankle looked at, had my head looked at. I was a mess. But in my recovery, I was stationed for like two months or 3 months at some place, and IBM sent Mr. Gates and the first IBM DOS run computer there to ask the government if they could use it. I was ordered to watch Mr. Gates. I told Mr. Gates, this machine, the way this machine is working, needs to be changed. It needs to be put with numbers and letters and stuff to do with filing. I didn't know nothing about computers. All I knew was that, like, I'm a repair guy. I knew manuals and stuff. And the way this thing was being trained, even kids were being trained with computers. I knew if you could make it where you didn't have to have years of training to run it, and you could make it, incorporate it in normal life, it'd go big time. That's what I told. Well, I kept getting worse and worse and worse. I wasn't going to tell my parents I was sick with an unknown blood illness. The number of people I told I could count on one hand. Okay? And none of them were my step-parents, my stepfather, my mother, or my uncle. None of them. Even my brother and my sister didn't know. You want to know what it was? It was blood cancer. And you want to know what saved me? My uncle through a computer. His number. My uncle had blood cancer, and he was part of the blood thinner test. He gave me a book with his military number on it and his name. He said my real relation would need it to fix his boat. I'm the only decent mechanic that he knew of in the family. He'd have to come get me from Arkansas. That's what I was told. I opened up the manual on boats. There was the title page, his name and number. I opened up the back. It had all war records from World War II. It had also what he went to and got sick. After World War II, he went in and did a ship test with nuclear weapons. They set him off in the fallout area afterwards. He had to go check the boats. That was his job. That got him sick with blood cancer, with the injury he had. It's something inside me. He had something to do with the birth of my mother. I don't know if it was because I was his mother's sister's kid's boy or what, but he handed me the book and the information. I had blood clots like you wouldn't believe. I mean, I ended up falling out here in my yard They scooped me up, took me to center. Nobody never put it together. They just put me through this blood thinner and all that. They had no idea who I was. When I told the VA who my uncle was, they go, "You're adopted." I said, "You might have wanted to open the records." "What do you mean?" I said, "It was released. My Uncle Fred was the closest relation to me in my family directly. He was my uncle. I don't know how, don't know why, but that's what the record from the court, from the lawyer that handled my case, told me. My father had asked information on me. My father and my mother, stepfather and mother, were barred from giving them information. The only other man that could is a direct relation to me, and he had to be to me by blood to talk to me. That was my uncle. He stepped forward in 1963 and said, "Yes, I'll do it." And the court approved it. But they didn't tell me who my father was. My uncle only told me one certain name. That name was Forrest Wood. He's directly related to me. He's in my line. So, what would you say? All I can tell you is he was the designer of Ranger Boat. He owned a company with a man jointly at one time called Irwin R. Jacobs. And he was from Huntington. I don't know why, but all I can tell you is I met him one time. And he asked me how come I could fish like I could. That's the truth. I told the VA who my uncle was, gave him the number. The doctor about fainted. They looked at the computer screen, and she turned to me and said, "Did you ever hear of the medicine blood thinner?" I go, "Yes, I was on it. I'm on it." She said, "Your uncle was part of the design of it. He basically was the first man to live through blood cancer. We have everything. We have his records. We have his blood samples froze. And we know where they're at." And she says, "We can fix this. You can be a lot better now." And I just basically let it go on, and everybody said I was better. They all washed it under the rug till I had a leg infection. Then they realized I had it bad. Then they realized they caused it. Then in 2019, it all came together a year before COVID. I had won my case. Then all my friends hung around until they didn't want to do anything anymore. What they'd been paid for years made me live off $125 a month or $130 and play games the whole time, lying to me. I don't know how you can explain it, but I'm on a newer medicine and I'm better than I've ever been. But I'm looking at DC and it's like a big huge clown show. These idiots need to wake up and realize they couldn't even figure out how to run the country right. They're a bunch of morons. They try to control everything so they could take over. They're so afraid he'll come back and mess it up. They shouldn't have even been there in the first place. We should have had checks and balances. There's a lot of these people that were in that shouldn't have been in. But what am I to say? I was sick all this time while idiots were leading me around playing games. Just an update.